One key area in which Jersey has enjoyed much recent success and taken steps in the right direction is in structuring alternative funds and making sure that major investors have access to them. The growth of family offices on the island is further fueling this trend. We asked Mike Byrne, chairman of the Jersey Funds Association and a partner at PwC, whether the demand for alternative investments will carry on growing, and if Jersey can support the rising tide of socially responsible and impact investing. When we look at the growth of alternative assets in Jersey, what is driving that trend and how is it being played out?
We've seen a low interest yield environment, so that's meant that a lot of investors have been looking for yield, so we've seen alternatives providing that yield. But on top of that, we've also seen a lot of pensions allocating more to alternates. We've seen sovereign wealth funds increasing their allocations to alternates as well. Alternatives is what we do. We've got very little funds other than institutional alternative funds, and that means that that's our focus, where our expertise lies. So that's allowed our fund administrators, our managers, etc., to specialize in that, to develop and invest in systems that are relevant to alternatives, to private equity, to real estate, etc., and be market leading in that rather than a competition internally between UCITS, real estate, private equity, etc. So real specialism has grown in our finance industry over that time.
But you don't mention hedge funds anymore. Have they really fallen out of favour in the alternative asset space?
Research from Jersey Finance says we're probably the 6th largest hedge fund manager location in the world. What we see in that space, though, is we see a lot of the funds located elsewhere. Okay, so managers here, hedge funds elsewhere. What we've seen in hedge funds is we've seen some mixed return over the last number of years. It's been very tough, I think, for a lot of managers due to some of the big external factors, QE, interest rates, etc. So the markets haven't been behaving maybe as many would expect. So I think what you've seen in hedge funds generally is some really challenging market conditions. But as I said, from a manager location, Jersey continues to do really, really well. And will continue to do so, in the face of political pressures elsewhere, and just how nice Jersey is a place to live and work.
A nice place to live and work for families in particular. What sort of role are family offices playing in the growth of alternative investments?
Globally, middle class are emerging, but the number of billionaires, millionaires, high significant wealth families are increasing significantly. And Jersey is attracting more and more of these families, some to relocate here, but often more so to set up their family office here. So I think what you've seen in the private wealth space is an evolution of the industry from externally managed to internally managed by your own family office. And Jersey's probably got a fair share of that, maybe around 30 at last count.
And do you think these traditional families are particularly interested in the sphere of socially responsible and impact investing, or is that a story more for the next generation of clients?
No, I think it's definitely something which families are looking at as you get a shift in wealth between generations. I think where often the first generation may have made their money and not been clear maybe on their ESG goals. I think as the wealth is changing between generations, I think more so people are looking at what they can do using wealth as a source for good and source for change. You'll see that high net worth group is now looking at their responsibilities very differently to previous. And I guess you could probably cite Bill and Melinda Gates at the top of that in terms of how they've taken the significant wealth they've got and looked to change. And I think we see that from many of our Jersey families as well. If you want to invest into Europe, you can do so through our private placement regime. And we've seen a number of funds in the last 2 or 3 years raised through that, attracting significant money from European investors through the private placement mechanism that is tried and tested and works very efficiently for the key countries in Europe from which alternates are bought. Our clients are from across Europe, from the UK, from Europe, from further afield, from the US, Middle East, etc. So I think we've got a really good international client base which supports an international workforce.